You're watching Sci-Fi Saturday, discussion and analysis of all your favorite sci-fi TV shows, only on the Anthony James YouTube channel. The Star Wars community's reaction to fan service. Well, guys, episode 5 has dropped, and I was right, as well as probably everyone else on the planet was right. AHSOKA Tano was in this episode, directed by Dave Filoni and written by Dave Filoni as well. It's called The Jedi. Now, straight off the bat, the title of the episode, The Jedi. Personally, I think this is referring to Baby Yoda, or Grogu, as we now know him. So I will be talking a little bit more about that name. I'll just say off the bat, I love it. I do love it. Can you not imagine Master Grogu? Old Master Grogu. Oh, can you imagine the stories that are going to get told? Hopefully he survives to become a master, but, you know, you never know with this show. You never know with these people who are trying to sap his life energy. He might not last much longer. Who knows? But I can imagine a Master Grogu. I think it works. It was always going to be a gamble. Whatever they called this character, it was going to be a gamble. And I know that it probably was a bit strange to hear at first for a lot of people. I really like it. I think it works. So first things first, I'm going to talk about AHSOKA Tano. So AHSOKA Tano, obviously there's been a lot of build-up to her coming into the show since episode 3, even since before that, to be honest with you. If you've been following the news for The Mandalorian, we knew who Rosario Dawson was cast to play. It was pretty much leaked. I don't think it was fully leaked, but it was pretty much. Everyone expected AHSOKA Tano to be in this season. And let me just say, as someone who's only seen a handful of stuff from Clone Wars and Rebels with AHSOKA Tano in it, I'm not going to claim to be an expert. I love this. I thought it was absolutely amazing. This is the way. No, that wasn't. I didn't even intend that. This is the way to do Jedi on TV. Now, obviously, there was like some stuff where it felt quite TV in a way, like in terms of the camera, how it was shot. It's very close to the action. Like if it was a Star Wars film, you might, especially one of the newer ones of the last 20 years, you would expect to sort of have the camera be 100 meters away of the top of something, filming the fight from ages away, and it would have much more scope. The thing is, the story of this episode didn't really need that scope. And actually, I quite liked being so close to the lightsaber battle and being so close in. So the style of it was different to having the Jedi in a film, for example, compared to having him on a TV show. But I like the style. I thought it made sense, the change of style. In terms of her look, I mean, obviously very, very similar to the cartoon. Having said that, I think it's very realistic in terms of the world. I don't think it looks like a costume compared to the rest of the world. It's always a risk with something this bold, this character design this bold, for it to actually appear a bit out of place. Even in Star Wars, I would say. Even in Star Wars, like the colors aren't very earthy. She's very colorful. And it always has a chance to stick out. However, I think actually it was a very believable costume. I think they translated it across to film very well. Very, very similar to the design from the cartoon, as I say. But they managed to sort of, I don't know. Maybe it's just the fact that it's on a real face makes me think. Maybe they didn't even have to change it very much at all. But it worked for me. And I was a bit worried about it, to be honest with you. I was a bit worried about it. But it works. The white lightsabers, purified from red from the cartoon. So cool. Like hearing the hum of the lightsaber again was just so great. And I really like. I want to spend more time with AHSOKA Tano now. Now I know obviously she's gonna pop in and out of the Mandalorian from now on probably. I'd like to see if she comes in. I know there's other Star Wars TV shows in the works. I'd like to see where she comes in. And spoiler alert, we know that by the end of episode 9, she has died. And we also know that her species can live up to 200 years. So you'd imagine that something's going to happen. So maybe it'd be a sad ending for her in whatever way she goes. Because when she spoke to Rey at the end of episode 9, she was one of the voices within all the goodies, so to speak, speaking to Rey through the Force. So she has to die somehow. So that'll be very, very interesting. Now, as I say, I'm not a huge fan. Oh, sorry, I am a huge fan, but I'm not a huge expert on Clone Wars and Rebels. I intend to be one day, but I'm not yet. So what I say by that is that all the little Easter eggs been put in to like the Grand Admiral coming up, even to the possibility of Ezra being in it as well. All those little Easter eggs there. I'm not going to be the one. I'm not going to talk in depth about them. I'm going to leave that to the YouTubers who actually know about that lore and stuff. I'm just going to talk about the Mandalorian TV show and my review of this episode. Okay, so if you clicked on this video looking for all the Grand Admiral stuff, I don't feel qualified to speak on it yet. I'm sure you guys know a lot more about it than I do. What I like to analyze is the TV show, the pacing of the episode, the characters, that sort of thing. So that's what I'm going to focus on here. Just because I don't want to bullshit you, basically. All right, so okay, so one thing about AHSOKA Tano, her white lightsaber, what I loved about her, the character design, or even just like the performance Rosario Dawson put into the character. Tell me in the comments, but I don't know if I've seen someone deflect blaster shots the same way. It's almost like she was playing baseball, and she's like, like sending them back. It was so dynamic, and it was really, it gave this character a different feel than I've had before. Obviously, she's very athletic as well, jumping over the tree branch, all that sort of thing, but just very impressed by this character. I have to say, very impressed by the character, and I really hope at the end of this season, like we did in the first season, how all the heroes came together for the last battle in the season. I hope we see AHSOKA Tano again this season. I think we will. If we don't, we don't, but hopefully we do. I'd like to see them all come back together at the end. Obviously, the theme hasn't been missed by many. The theme of this episode is very much old samurai Kurosawa films. The idea of the water garden inside the big sort of fort. This is very Japanese, I thought. This water garden where they went in and the reveal of the Beskar. That scene there where Mando gets offered to go and hunt the Jedi. Now I was listening very carefully, and I knew that he didn't actually commit to that. So I was glad to see he didn't commit to that, because obviously that would have been a nightmare. But I've got some things to say about the Beskar spear later on. But I thought it was pretty cool, this scene. I like the idea of Mando playing her, because obviously she had no idea what he was there to do, and it just so happened that he was there to find the person she wanted to kill. She wanted him to kill. So it worked out perfectly for Mando. I love the music in this scene. It was very sort of melodic. Again, reminded me of Japanese cinema, the water garden, the melodic music. If the first episode of this season was a pure Western, this episode was a pure samurai film. And I think what they're going for, especially at the end of the episode, when they had the face-off between the Ahsoka and then also Mandalorian and the Imperial officer, when they had that face-off moment, I thought it was really interesting that outside, Mandalorian was like the Western. He was the cowboy. He was the gunslinger, whereas Ahsoka was very much the samurai. So I think that's the sort of the style they're going for here, is that the Jedi are more the samurai and the Mandalorian are more the gunslinger. Now I know there's a lot of similarity in terms of the style of the cinema, but it seemed like that's the sort of the stake they were making there, is that there's two different cultures, and it works thematically for me, and I thought it was brilliant. I love the moment where Mando first meets Ahsoka and they have a little fight, and I thought it was really cool that they showed that Beskar is resistant to lightsabers. Now I don't think it's fully resistant. Maybe pure Beskar is, but I don't think it's fully resistant, but obviously it's resistant a lot. That's why Mandalorians wear that armor, because the past wars of the Jedi, they've needed to protect themselves. So I really enjoyed that, and to be honest with you, it made me think, now, I'm skipping forward a bit here, but it made me think that when he got the spear at the end, I thought to myself, right, he's probably going to be fighting against someone with a lightsaber. At some point in this show, we're going to get the Mandalorian facing off against a lightsaber. So, maybe it'll be the Moff. Yeah, actually, that makes most sense. So he'll fight against the Moff with the Darksaber. That would make sense to me. But the fact that he has this bit of loot, I've talked before about this being like a D&D campaign or a video game, and now he's collected another bit of loot. He's got his armor, he's got the jetpack. Now he's got this Beskar spear. He's going to keep getting these little bits of loot, and it's really great. I love that he's got this Beskar spear. So many possibilities. we're gonna get a huge fight with him and the Moff. We are. It's gonna be amazing. But yeah, I love his little collection he's getting now. I also noticed that he took. I don't know if I noticed this before, but he took the jetpack off and left it in his ship at one point. And I thought I hadn't noticed him taking it off before, and that really again reminded me of a video game or a D&D campaign where you're leaving things, like especially in a video game, you have your home base and you sort of leave things in your ship. You know, I'm thinking of like Red Dead Redemption where you leave your guns on your horse, you know, that sort of thing. So you only equip what you need for that mission, and yeah, it must have been in their mind when they were thinking of this, to be honest with you. Right, let's talk about Grogu. Again, love the name. I really think it was a wise decision to have him have history with the Force. Now, I know that there are, like, I was one, to be honest with you, when Force Awakens come out, I wasn't one to label Rey a Mary Sue. I'm going to be honest, I didn't do that. I think that term's a bit overused, if I'm honest with you. Now, obviously, Rey can do an awful lot straight away, which is questionable, I will say. Questionable. But the thing is with Star Wars, you can't really judge what a character's abilities until years after, when all the lore is filled in. That's what I would say. So I know that there's already been some building into Rey already in the extended. Now, of course, you'll say, well, in a film, the film should be the way, you know, we should have a film where everything's self-contained and we should be able to watch it ourselves. Yes, well, that's true. But if you're someone who's complaining about Rey being too strong with the Force, then I'd imagine you're also someone who cares about the wider lore of the show and the wider canon. So therefore, the wider canon describes Rey as being so strong because her father was a clone who had dormant M count or midi-chlorians within, and then when he had Rey with a sort of non-clone, that activated Palpatine's midi-chlorians within Rey. That makes sense to me. I'm gonna go out on the limb and tell you that I actually would prefer if she was no one, but it makes sense to me, and the lore and the canon is starting to be built around why she's so strong. I understand, so I'm not a hater of that, if I'm honest with you. Definitely there are some things in the sequel trilogy that I think are just bad, and there are things that I really enjoyed. I also grew up with the prequels, so I'm of that generation, and I'm just not someone to form an opinion based on anything other than what I thought of it when I watched it. You know, I don't know. I didn't want this to talk about the sequels. Maybe one day I'll do a full-on thing about the sequels, but that's that. But anyway, the reason why I'm saying that is that Grogu is like a baby, okay? And I'm already into Grogu. I'm already saying Grogu rather than Baby Yoda or rather than the child. Grogu. So Grogu is a baby. Now I know 50 years old, but still we're told he's a baby in his lifespan. So the fact that a baby was able to like lift the mud horn, choke Cara Dune, it did feel like he was quite overpowered, and it makes sense that he was actually training in the Jedi Temple on Coruscant. It makes sense. Now, obviously, he wasn't there during that scene where Anakin killed everyone, but it makes sense that he was training because, you know, he can use the Force, clearly. Now, I'd imagine they said he's trying to suppress the Force in himself because he doesn't want people to know, or I'm assuming because he doesn't want to get caught and experimented on again to take his blood. I'd imagine that's why he's doing that, but it also might be a case of like being tortured basically for so long, it's suppressing it naturally anyway. I will say the fact that AHSOKA Tano pointed out that Grogu is so attached to Mando, it could have issues down the line in terms of training him. He could be seduced by the dark side. First thing I thought, oh my god, guys, is this what they're building up for? Are they gonna have like later in the Disney Plus series, or later in like a trilogy or something later down the line, set like 100 years or 200 years in the future, where like the main bad guy is Grogu and he's like a Sith Yoda? That would be pretty cool. Like, let's be honest. And maybe he is like this generation's Darth Vader. That would be cool. At the same time, I think that, Anakin eventually came around in the end, so maybe they're able to train Grogu without that. But I think it makes complete sense why they were focusing so heavily on the relationship between Mando and Grogu now. The fact that that it felt like a genuine father-son relationship. I've talked before about the portrayal of parenthood in this show, and it is, in my opinion, one of the best portrayals of parenthood I've seen in TV. It is absolutely fantastic. And it means whenever AHSOKA Tano says he has a bond to you, and it means that you can't, it's going to be hard to train him, we shouldn't train him. When she said that, I was thinking, that makes complete sense. And I actually felt, oh, she's right. She's right. Like, they can't train him because I believe the love that there is between Mando and Grogu. I believe it. And that is what it's at the center of this show. And you could see Mando at the very end as well. Whenever he said, oh, I'm gonna go and get him from the ship. He didn't want to go. He didn't want to go and get him from the ship. He wanted Grogu to stay. He wanted to, like, sort of, I was expecting, what I was like thinking, oh, you know what I want Mando to do? I want him to go back to the ship and just fly off. You know, like, oh, I'll go get him, and then just fly off. But they didn't have to fly off because AHSOKA Tano then said, you know what? I know. Go put him on the stone. I think the stone, seeing stone, very similar to the stone that Luke uses in The Last Jedi. That's what I imagine it anyway. And these must be scattered around the galaxies, and like this is where Jedi can reach out. So there's also like a hint that it might be Ezra they're reaching out to. Again, not an expert on that, but that would be cool. That would be cool, bringing in Jedi from these animated shows and sort of further canon. I love that idea. I really like that. Well, I think Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau are really clever in what they're doing, in bringing the things in from Rebels and from Clones, and bringing things in from previous novels and comics and things back in from Legends canon, like bringing this all in. It's giving a new generation of fans a chance to actually explore that content and a chance to build this wider Star Wars world. Who would have thought when Disney bought Star Wars, and after so many people were panning those sequel films, who would have thought that this is where we'd be in Star Wars? Who would have thought that Star Wars would be in such a strong position? I am so excited for the future, and I think that this is a good moment with AHSOKA Tano now being in live action, and sort of the possibility now we have a name, Grogu, and a possibility of following this character through the lifespan, through different forms of TV, comic, whatever. I think this is a really good moment to sit and reflect and think, you know what? This is pretty good. You know, this is pretty good. We've got this for the next however long. Oh, it's just so good. I'm going to watch anything that they come out with, these two fellas. I really think, now, I'm not a hater of Kathleen Kennedy. Like, I think she's very good at her job. I think she employed some people she shouldn't have employed in certain regards. However, not Rian Johnson. I love that film. I'm not getting into that here now. However, I think that I honestly think if she doesn't realize what she's got in Jon Favreau, and especially in Dave Filoni, something is wrong. Can you imagine the outcry if, like, you know, someone's get put at head of creative or something like that, and it isn't Dave Filoni? Oh, jeez. This man needs to be in charge. He knows what he's doing. All right, guys. I could keep spieling over this all day. Like, I absolutely love this episode. I'm sure there's a lot I didn't even get to, but oh my god, how good. Right, guys. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next week. Can't wait for next week. Bye.
You're watching Sci-Fi Saturday. Discussion and analysis of all your favorite sci-fi TV shows. Only on the Anthony James YouTube channel.